Euro 2016 on 5 Live Sport.
Yes, so far we've seen 20 teams in action. Today the remaining 4 begin their campaign at Euro 2016 with the start of Group F. Later on it's Portugal against Iceland, but right now it's the meeting of 2 of the oldest foes in football. They used to share an empire and a royal family, but they've been eternal rivals on the pitch. It's Austria against Hungary. They're meeting for the 138th time, but for the first time in a tournament since 1934. Yes, good afternoon, good early evening from myself alongside Trevor Sinclair. Looking forward to this match to be played in Bordeaux down in southwestern France. The Austrians, one of the dark horses for Euro 2016 according to a lot of experts, and certainly the favourites to win this match against their neighbours Hungary, as we begin to wind down on the first set of matches at Euro 2016. By the end of the day, Trevor, we'll have seen all of the teams in action.
Absolutely. Really looking forward to this. So many players that have played in the Premier League. And I think you look at the Austrians and the quality they've got throughout the side. And there'll be a lot of people's dark horses. But, don't discount Hungary, as we've seen so many times in this tournament already. There's not been a game played that there's been more than 2 goals the winner. And a lot of the smaller nations and nations that are less fancied have really equipped themselves well, defended well, and not given anything away too cheaply.
Well, Austria's qualifying campaign was rather astonishing. A draw with Sweden and then 9 consecutive victories, including a 4-1 win over Sweden in Stockholm to clinch their place in France. Hungary's path was more turbulent. 2 changes of coach, an early defeat by Northern Ireland, but eventually overcoming Norway in their 2-legged playoff. That was 2-0 on aggregate against the Norwegians. The Hungarians, perhaps with players who don't play at such a high level as Albania, because Austria, of course, have got David Alaba of Bayern Munich, 5 times consecutively the Austrian Player of the Year. Also Marko Arnautovic of Stoke City, we know him very well. And they've got a goalkeeper in Robert Almer, who actually during the qualifying campaign went 603 minutes without conceding a goal. A lot of attention though this afternoon will be on the goalkeeper at the other end, a certain Gabor Kirai. Now today he will break the record for the oldest player ever to feature at a European Championship finals at the age of 40 years and 75 days. So congratulations to him, and don't worry, he will be wearing those grey jogging bottoms made famous in this country when he played at Crystal Palace.
It started 20 years ago, and these grey bottoms is this beginning in Hungary, bring luck. And after I take it to Berlin, to London, to Crystal Palace, I want to be confident in the game. You cannot put just grey jogging bottoms in the goal. You have to move this bottom. In the beginning, of course, was black. The kit man didn't wash, and I took the grey one. I play 20 years in this bottom. I read somewhere, if I play, I will be the oldest player, but I feel I am not anymore 21. I am very, very motivated. I want to enjoy every minute. I play with my heart.
Yes, he is the oldest keeper in town, Gabor Kirai, once of Crystal Palace. He will be playing at the age of 40 in this match for Hungary, and he will be wearing the grey jogging bottoms, of course. He was warming up in black ones, we saw that. But when we saw pictures earlier on from the changing room, the grey ones were ready, Trevor, which is always great to see.
Absolutely, and it looks like it's the same pair as well. They look a little bit weathered, a little bit worn.
I don't think they've been washed in the best part of a decade.
They'll be walking off the pitch on their own then. Listen, they bring him luck. It's one of them things. Some players are superstitious. He obviously is. And let's hope it brings him a bit of luck today.
Well, we can also now hear from the captain of Austria, a certain Christian Fuchs, a Premier League winner, of course, with Leicester City this last season.
Wow.
And apart from Hungary, there is also Portugal to be reckoned with in this group, and a certain Cristiano Ronaldo. The fixture against Portugal on Saturday means going to head again with Cristiano Ronaldo, a prospect which Fuchs is relishing.
I played with Schalke in Bernabeu, and it was not back then. It was not his best game. We won 4-3, but he scored 2 goals, and he was there. And I think that's a lot of quality. That quality that he has. He might not be in the game all the time, but at the right moment he is at the right time, and then he has the quality simply to score a goal out of the nothing.
Is it a case of not just concentrating on him though when you play against Portugal? I guess there could be a bit more focus on him than the rest of the team.
Well, that could be dangerous, when you focus on him only and forget all the other 10 guys that are still standing on the pitch, So I know our manager Marcel Koller, that he will take good care of us and prepare us very well for those games.
And as the captain, what responsibility does that have? I mean, how proud are you, first of all, to be Austria captain? And in terms of the team being away for 6 weeks, you hope, how much work do you have to do to bring them together and social activities?
Well, it's not only my responsibility. Obviously, I'm a proud captain. I'm a proud Austrian citizen. So it's amazing for me to be at a big tournament. I played now for the Austrian national team for 10 years, and finally we have success there. And success that's on a great foundation. Back in time we were just like swimming around all the time, but never really achieving something. But now I think we have a great team that's based on. We built something up in Austria, that could be a base for a long-term future, a good future for Austria. And 6 weeks together, that's going to be a long time. But thank God we also have single rooms, so I can take some time off of the guys.
Yes, that's the Austrian captain Christian Fuchs looking forward to some time off. But when will the time off begin? Trevor Sinclair, how far do you think Austria can realistically go? They've been described by some as the new Belgium, which after last night perhaps isn't such a good thing.
No, absolutely not. Listen, I like the look of this side. Christian Fuchs, he's a leader. We've seen what he's done at Leicester last season, winning the league. I thought he was so underrated. Had a fantastic year, and like he said, he's just been floating around waiting for something to happen. It's happened for him now. He's a winner, and I'm sure he's going to give a good account of himself, not just today but also when he plays against Cristiano.
Well, the teams are out. It's been a cloudy day generally in Bordeaux. There has been some intermittent sunshine in the last couple of hours, but we're all set now for the 2 national anthems, the 2 teams lining up side by side. And first of all, we're going to hear the national anthem for Hungary. Hungary, 30 years since they last qualified for a major championship, and they're absolutely delighted to be here on this splendid occasion in Bordeaux. Everybody in very good spirits. We can see the supporters of the mighty Magyars out in great numbers in this stadium, which holds 42,000. It looks to be absolutely full, and now we have the national anthem of an Austrian team which has high hopes at Euro 2016. magnificent support in the stadium as well for Austria. They've got silver and red flags which are being waved uproariously around the ground here in Bordeaux. It's Austria who will be wearing their first choice colours. They've got the red shirts which they prefer, the black shorts and the red socks, and the Hungarians have had to change into all whites with flashings of red and green. It was a team in red that prevailed here just a couple of days ago, because this is where Wales beat Slovakia. They turned Bordeaux red, and the Austrians will be hoping to do so this evening as well. Let me give you the two lineups before the captains engage with our referee Clément Turpin from France. Now, everyone has been fit and available for Austria. 8 players started all 10 qualifiers, so they're very settled, and those 8 players are also involved in this first game of Euro 2016. They have Alma in goal, and then a back four of Klein, Hinteregger, Dragovic and Christian Fuchs. Hinteregger preferred to the Watford player Prudel, who's on the bench, and then 2 holding players in midfield. The shielding player really is Julian Baumgartlinger, and ahead of him David Alaba, who has licence to roam a little bit. He, of course, is the star man in this Austrian team, the Bayern Munich player who plays in defence, often at left back at the Allianz Arena in Bavaria, but here very much a mainstay of the midfield for Austria. And then behind the striker Mark Janko, a line of 3: Marko Arnautovic of Stoke City, Martin Harnik of Stuttgart, and then the playmaker in the number 10 role. And unusually for a player in the number 10 role, Trevor, he's wearing number 10, Juno Zovic.
He must be extra special then.
As for Hungary, they're without Lovrencis. He's out with a knee injury, but Kadar, the former Newcastle United player, is fit. And this is their lineup. Kirai, the goalkeeper that we were just talking about, at the age of 40. And then at the back, it's Fiola, Guzmic, Lang and Kadar. Holding in midfield, Gira, Zoltan Gira, at the age of 37, the former West Brom and Fulham player.
Great effort. And
the youngster Naj. The wide players, Zuzak, who's the captain, wearing 7, and Nemeth on the other side. And Kleinheisler plays in behind the striker wearing number 9, Solai. So good to see a centre-forward wearing number 9 as well. But the thing about him, Trevor, he hasn't scored in 18 months or 40 matches. We're underway. The first whistle is blown by our French referee, and the ball is straight away back with the man in the tracksuit bottoms, Gabor Kirai, winning his 103rd cap for Hungary. But Hungary have lost it on the far side, and perhaps Austria can burst forward on the far side with Arnautovic. Arnautovic wide on the left at the start of the game for the Austrians in red, but they make no real progress. Half cleared away by Hungary,
wow.
And then Alaba with a shot from outside of the penalty area, which strikes the inside of the post. Magnificent effort from the Bayern Munich player, all of 25 yards out plus, as Hungary failed to clear their lines. He rattled it in, right-footed. The goalkeeper Kirai was beaten. It came back off the post. I've
got to say, I'm not sure what Clément Turpin, the referee, is thinking. That was definitely a foul leading up to that shot. Should have been given to the Hungarians, but it wasn't. And what a strike that was by Alaba. Keeper was nowhere near it. Unlucky not to be 1-0 up. Almost not the perfect start for Kirai, winning this 103rd cap at the age of 40. Very nearly beaten inside the first couple of minutes. We played for 1 minute and 15 seconds. What a start almost for Austria in Bordeaux. But here's Naj now on the far side for Hungary. Plays it up the line towards the big man Janko. Up top, he's lost it, and it's cleared away by Austria out for Hungarian throw over on the far side to be taken by the full-back Attila Fiola. Up the line it goes to the man who rarely scores a goal, the striker Solai. Unbelievable that he keeps his place after going 40 matches without a goal. He's keeping out Nikolic, who was the leading goal scorer in the Polish league last season. The ball is forward from Austria again. Alaba very much involved in the opening exchanges. Now here's Baumgartlinger to Junozovic. Junozovic has got possession in the inside right position for Austria, back to Alaba, who came so close to making an instant mark on this tournament. A player who many reckon could be one of the players of Euro 2016, striking the post. Here are Hungary trying to regather their thoughts, lucky to survive that. And here's
at the back for them. Dragovic, long ball forward all the way through to Gabor Kirai, who's got the ball again. And it's still 0-0, but only just 0-0, Trevor
Just
Sinclair.
0-0, Ian. And I think it's very obvious that the Austrians have not got a lot of respect for Hungary on the pitch. They're squeezing so high and saying, listen, if you're going to try and play out, we're going to take the ball off you. And that's exactly what they've done, and they're winning the ball in dangerous areas, as we can see again. And it's causing a lot of problems to the Hungary team.
Here's Alaba with a ball over the top. He was looking for Arnautovic, but it's through again to Kirai. We saw one or two pictures pre-match, Trevor, of Marko Arnautovic struggling with what appeared to be a knee injury. We thought maybe he might have been a late withdrawal from the Austrian team, but he seems to be okay.
Yeah, he started well. I think he just wanted a bit of TLC. Him and the rest of the players for Austria look really sharp, look like we're really up for it. I'd like to hear what the manager said before they went out, but obviously a lot of rivalry.
And here's a shot at the other end coming in from Kleinheisler, but straight at Robert Almer in the Austrian goal. The keeper who went 603 minutes in qualification without conceding a goal. It was a fine campaign by Austria.
How many games is that, Ian?
How many games is that?
603 minutes. Got you there.
7 and a bit, something like that.
As I was saying, yeah, sometimes in these games when there's a lot of rivalry, obviously 138 games are played against each other, it's one of them where sometimes the manager might have to say, just calm down, don't let your emotions get the better of you, and so you can go out there and produce a good performance. And it looks like, although they look really up for it, it looks like they're composing themselves and putting themselves about really well, Austria.
Yeah, Austria in possession on the far side with Hinteregger, the Mönchengladbach centre-back, tall and blonde. Out it comes now to the near side. It's played forward by Dragovic, and now here's Junuzovic into the penalty area. Will it break for Austria? Not quite. And the Hungarians sweep it away to the halfway line. It remains 0-0. You're listening to 5 Live Sports Extra from the BBC. Austria against Hungary, the first match in Group F at Euro 2016. And the second match in this group is on 5 Live this evening with an 8 o'clock kick-off, the first viewing of Cristiano Ronaldo in the tournament as Portugal take on the outsiders, Iceland, the smallest country in the competition. That's live on 5 Live from Saint-Étienne as we watch a replay of that early blast from long range from Alaba, which struck the post, and then the shot in response at the other end from Kleinheisler was straight at the goalkeeper Almer, and that's why we're goalless. The match being played in Bordeaux, wine country, rugby union country, of course, in the southwest of France. And here's Baumgartlinger playing the ball across his own back four for Austria to Hinteregger down the line. The challenge comes in from Viola. It was a very strong one, to say the least, in on the Austrian player. And it was Christian Fuchs on the receiving end of that one, the Leicester City player, down on his haunches. He was really clattered into by Viola. The ball wasn't particularly nearby either.
I think he's half spitting teeth out there. It looked like a really bad collision. I don't think there was any malice in it. It was just one of them where two committed players went for the ball, and it was more like a car crash than a challenge. But he seems to be okay, which is good.
I can see one or two Welsh flags as well around the perimeter of the pitch, as well everywhere. As the Hungarian and the Austrian flags.
They're everywhere.
Remember, Wales played here the other day. Or maybe they're still just getting rid of the hangovers and forgot to leave the grounds. The ball is now with Junuzovic for Austria, and the Austrians are dominating possession inside the first 6.5 minutes in Bordeaux. It is still 0-0.
I've been impressed with Baumgartlinger in the centre of that Austrian midfield. He's holding that number 4 position. He's very combative. We said pre-game he looked really sharp and fit and looking like he was really up for the game, and he started the game in the same manner.
Yeah, he, alongside Alaba, is very much the man who holds things together in midfield for Austria under the stewardship of Marcel Koller, the former Swiss international, who wasn't a popular appointment back in 2011, played for Switzerland against England and Scotland at Euro 96, did Marcel Koller. But what a job he's done with Austrian football, which a decade or so ago was really in the doldrums. They bombed out, didn't they, in their own tournament, Euro 2008. But they've certainly turned the corner since then, with a lot of investment in youth football, and it's paying dividends quite early. The Hungarians have done something similar. Their target was to qualify in 2020, so the Hungarians, if anything, are ahead of schedule.
Absolutely. The 2000 plan for the Austrians was Willi Rullensteiner, and he wanted to put a lot of money, investment into the players, and he's the FA director, and that's paid off very well because they've got some fantastically gifted players.
Yeah, well researched, Trevor. The ball is played forward into the penalty area by Hungary. It's overhit though by Kadar, straight through to goalkeeper Alma. He clears for Austria. That's a bit of a loose one though. It's easily picked up by Lang at the back for Hungary, and he squares it to Guzmik. Guzmik gets it back in the turquoise boots. He is just his side of the centre circle. Long left-footed ball. It's overhit straight through to Alma, and the Hungarians so far haven't really got going in this game, Trevor.
No, but they've settled down a little bit. They're winning the ball back and having a little bit of possession. But a lot of people criticise the 24-team new format in this competition. But as we've seen, there's no team really getting annihilated in scoreline. So I think it's speaking for itself that there is good quality throughout.
Yeah, no soft touches. Only two teams have been beaten by two clear goals, and one of them were Belgium, of course, last night against Italy, and the others were Ukraine losing against Germany also by 2-0. It's very, very tight. Nobody's letting themselves down. No,
absolutely, and I think it's credit to all the teams, all the nations. They've obviously prepared properly, picked the squads right, and the players are being able to get out there and strut the stuff and show what they've got. It's a great responsibility going out there and having the nation's hopes on your shoulders, and it's a really proud moment for any player.
Yeah, and the matches haven't been too cagey either. I thought we might have seen a lot of teams just going for a draw in the opening game, but the fact that you can qualify from 4 of the groups in third place means that if you win one of the games, you're likely to get through, so you might as well win the first one.
Absolutely, and yeah, I think it's opened it up, and it's you're not really getting a lot of teams just sitting back and expecting to get there.
And Arnautovic into Alaba with a shot on the run, and saved by Kirai, straight at the goalkeeper really, but it was a lovely little slick ball into the penalty area from Arnautovic. He spotted the run of Alaba, who loves to come forward. He doesn't do that too often with Bayern Munich, but he does with Austria. He struck it through the legs of the defender, and Kirai did well to handle it cleanly.
Yeah, nice easy one, but I'm really looking forward to seeing how Arnautovic does in this tournament. You know, we've seen him in the Premier League blow a little bit hot and cold last season, but when he is hot, he is very, very good. And you know, if he can lift himself, he's a big game player. If he can lift himself for this tournament, I think he'll do himself a lot of good.
Here's Gira for Hungary to Zizek, the captain. Zizek to Kleinheisler just outside the penalty area, but he gets right underneath that one on his left foot. So he looks to the heavens. The ginger-haired player in the midfield for Hungary, whose nickname is Skolzy. I think it's because he's got ginger hair, not because he's spraying the ball around with great accuracy 100% of the time.
Well, I was going to say, with the accuracy of that shot, it's a bit of an insult to Paul Scholes, who was an absolute technician at this game.
I think it's the ginger hair and the freckles, possibly.
He looks hot anyway.
He does look hot. It is quite a steamy afternoon, about 18-19 degrees and cloudy, overcast. Maybe a little warmer than that now in Bordeaux. There was a little bit of sunshine, wasn't there, just before the players came out, but it's now grey again.
Fortunately for the players, because when you're out there and the sun is shining and you know you're uncomfortable anyway because you're running your socks off, it's nothing worse than the sun dehydrating you even more. So the players will be pleased with that little bit of shade that they've got in the stadium.
Well, we've played for 11 minutes. It's Austria 0, Hungary 0 on 5 Live Sports Extra. The match being played at the Stade de Bordeaux. And we see Kadar, the bearded former Newcastle man, going down injured for Hungary. He'll receive a little bit of treatment after the challenge from Zlatko Junazovic, the Werder Bremen player. Kadar was doubtful before this match, but he passed a fitness test. He's back up on his feet, wearing number 4 on this near side. He is the left back for Hungary. Didn't really make much of an impact at St James's Park. In fact, he broke his leg playing in a reserve game for Newcastle against Sunderland on the receiving end of a tackle from a certain Jordan Henderson. But he's part of the Hungarian squad, which is here and alive and kicking inside the first 12 minutes in Bordeaux. 0-0 is the score. Austria with 2 decent efforts, one off the post, the other straight at the goalkeeper, Kirai. But Hungary, well, holding their own at the moment in this battle of neighbouring countries from Central Europe. On Thursday it is very much derby day, of course, in the Euro 2016 tournament. We've got England against Wales in the afternoon, and then Germany against Poland in the evening. That's the 8 o'clock kickoff game on Thursday. Sandwiched in between those two matches, a crucial fixture for Northern Ireland when they take on Ukraine. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock, by the way, on 5 Live, it'll be me and Trevor for Russia against Slovakia, and we'll be hoping that we're concentrating on the football.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously too much has gone on off the field, and we just hope the federations from both countries have give the fans, or so-called fans, a bit of a warning, a bit of a ticking off, and we won't see them scenes again, because it's not what football's about.
Yes, if you're fresh to the news, the Russians have been given a suspended disqualification, so if there's any more trouble inside the stadia involving Russian fans, and obviously Russian fans, they'll be kicked out of the tournament. Will you believe that when it happens, if there is trouble, or do you think there'll be some kind of wording that they get away with it?
Well, it's a brave thing to do, kick a nation out because of the way fans are behaving. But I think the FA have took a good stance on this. You know, they've took a lot of passports off people, yobs that have been in trouble in the past, so they can't travel, and hopefully that will stop the English fans getting into too much trouble. Maybe the Russians should have done likewise.
That's the voice of sense, the voice of Trevor Sinclair, former England international. The ball's on the near side now with Hungary. Kadar with a cross into the penalty area, should be away by Dragovic, and it is high up over the halfway line. Hungary regroup on halfway with the Ferencváros youngster Nagy. He's highly rated, just 22. Premier League clubs said to be watching him. Anyone under 25 playing in the Euros is said to be being watched by Premier League clubs, or indeed Championship clubs.
His movement's great, he's got a fantastic touch. You can see that he's a cultured player, and he looks to just give it nice and easy, make another angle and receive the ball. He's always looking over his shoulder.
Yeah, he's playing with Gira, and here's Kleinheiser, the Paul Scholes lookalike, to Zuzak over on the far side for Hungary as they build patiently. Here's that man Nagy into the edge of the penalty area. Oh, a shot on the turn from Solai, the man who hasn't scored in 40 matches, and his shot didn't really reach the penalty area. It was quickly blocked, and now we have an injury for the Austrian midfielder Junuzovic, not a man they would want to lose, the Werder Bremen player, born in Bosnia, but very much the creative force in this Austrian team.
I tell you what, Nagy tried to play a 1-2 with Solar there, and if he would have given the return pass, he was in. Decided to turn like most strikers do and get his shot off, which was blocked. But great movement from the young player there, Nagy, and I'm quite excited to see how he does in this game.
Well, Junuzovic is still down injured. He's receiving a little bit of treatment now from the Austrian medical staff, so it remains 0-0 after 15 minutes here on BBC 5 Live Sports Extra. This is a brand new stadium built for the tournament, and one or two of the players taking on a bit of fluid because it is, as we say, fairly warm down at pitch level. We see a replay of the two number 10s coming together, and it was a horrible twist of the ankle, the right ankle, wasn't it? It bent backwards there, Junuzovic, as he was challenged by Gira.
That looked a nasty one. I didn't see that first time round, but I'll be very surprised if he can carry on with that. Twisted his ankle right over. Depends how flexible his ankle is, I suppose.
Could be ligament damage, but he's walking reasonably well. He's certainly not asking for the stretcher to be employed, but he's off the field at the moment is Junuzovic. He's trying to put a little bit more weight on it as he meanders to this near touchline.
It's not so much for now, Ian, it's for the future. If he carries on with that and he's got ligament damage, that will make it very much so worse. So it's one for the medical team. They have to make a calculation how bad it was, but if he feels good, then I'm sure he's going to play on.
Well, they've got Portugal on Saturday at the Parc des Princes. You'd imagine they definitely want him for that one, but obviously it's first things first, and you want your best players in the opening game to make sure you win the opening game. Austria big favourites to win this match, and he's back on the pitch for now.
Absolutely, like you said, if you can get the 3 points in the bag straight away, you've got a fantastic chance of getting through to the knockout stages. And I'm sure Hungary need to do that in this game.
Well, he had a bit of a shoulder injury coming into the tournament, did Junozovic. Now he's taken a bit of a battering to his ankle. But he is prepared to carry on in the Austrian cause. The most improved team in Europe. They are rising up the FIFA rankings by the month, and they have possession on the near side with Klein, the right full-back, who's not been involved in the game very much, and then his forward pass is horribly mishit and overhit behind for a goal kick for Hungary.
I think they're up to 10th in the UEFA standings.
Yes, from my Welsh perspective, it's a bit worrying that Austria are in the same group as Wales for qualification for the next World Cup in Russia. And of course it will be more difficult to qualify for that one because only the group winners go through. Austria, Wales, Republic of Ireland and Serbia all in that group, which I think could well be a four-way marginal. Here on the near side is Zizek, the captain of Hungary. He's barged into there very aggressively by Florian Klein of Stuttgart. And it's another injury which is going to cause a further delay. Not for too long, I don't think. He was just hacked a little bit around the ankle as he tried to get away from Klein. And he goes down in a heap. But the match is back underway. Hungary in possession as watery sunlight re-emerges in the southwest of France. The match in Bordeaux is still goalless, and we played for 19 minutes. The ball is forward by Junozovic, who's okay again after that ankle problem, it seems, but his pass is intercepted, and Hungary can break on the near side with Nemeth down the line. He's looking for Solai, but cleared away by Austria in the red shirts. And it's difficult to see exactly who's got most of the support. I think it's about 50-50 in Bordeaux. Kind of equal distance to travel for supporters of the two neighbouring countries. They share a border of over 200 miles to Austria and Hungary. They used to share an empire at the end of the 19th century and share a royal family. Later they were split by the Iron Curtain. The ball is played into the penalty area by Hungary. Might drop on the edge of the penalty area, but Baumgartner is there to get it away for Austria. The ball strikes the referee momentarily. It works out for Hungary. And Naj to Gira, back to Naj into his own half. He finds Adam Lang forward to Naj again, and then across their own half of the field they find Guzmic.
Good patience from Hungary there, probing, looking for a little through ball. It's not on, they're not forcing it, starting again.
They're happy to keep possession, aren't they, and go backwards where necessary.
And that's what the best teams do, they recycle the ball really well. You can't concede when you've got the ball, so a good game plan that they've got going here.
Yeah, they actually went all the way back to their goalkeeper, Kirai, and they've still got possession. They've strung together about 15 passes, and then there's a horribly loose one straight to Juzovic, but he's unable to release the big man Janko on the edge of the penalty area because Hungary snapped shut defensively, and they've got the ball back now with Kleinheisler. Lovely ball by him, chipped out to the far side to Fiola onto Zoltan Gira. The Hungarians certainly getting cheered by their own supporters. You can hear the olays. They passed it very succinctly, about 15 passes successively, but then they gave it away with a horrible ball inside their own half. So it's pointless keeping the ball so well and then playing such a stray one.
Yeah, I think they'd sucked the Austrians in there. It was time to turn them and miss a line out, and they didn't do that. They tried to overplay, and it was a poor ball, and it's in their own final third. They've got to be careful they don't do that, because that could end up in the back of their net. But great football, and the decision making on the ball from the Hungarians was very good there, and Naj in particular is taking my eye.
Well, the Hungarians have done very well, of course, to get to this tournament. They were in the same group as Northern Ireland, who topped it, of course, rather surprisingly. But the Greeks let themselves down ever so badly in that group, and Hungary able to qualify via the playoffs, having finished in third behind Northern Ireland and Romania. And I talk about it as being quite an achievement because there was a lot of bloodletting in Budapest and the other great cities of Hungary in 2013 when they played against the Netherlands in a qualifier and were beaten by 8-1.
That's painful.
They've progressed since then, no doubt about that. They're much more solid under their German coach, Bernd Stork, who's very much all-powerful in Hungarian football at the moment. He even managed to get the league to postpone all of the top-flight matches in Hungary prior to the playoffs against Norway. Can you imagine that happening in the English Premier League?
I don't think Roy's got the same kind of influence with the Premier League, unfortunately, but it would be nice to do that, I have to say.
Long ball by Hungary down the right-hand side, falls for Solai, and then a long-range shot comes in from 25 yards out plus from Zoltan Gira on target. It slithered along the floor through the turf, which is a little bit greasy on top, and was claimed by Robert Almer in the Austrian goal.
Yeah, very creative, nice little one-touch layoff and early shot. Not enough power to trouble the keeper, but Gira always looking to shoot when he can.
We've had a quarter of the match. It is still 0-0 in Bordeaux. Here's Alaba, forced away from goal by the tight marking of the Hungarians in midfield. So Alaba's happy to take it back into his own half and then play it wide to the centre-back, Hinteregger towards Arnautovic, whose layoff to Fuchs is massively overhit. That's because Arnautovic was under a lot of pressure from behind by Fiola, the right back for Hungary, who has been in this game quite a bit, an aggressive player on the right flank up against Arnautovic, and so far he's kept Arnautovic relatively quiet.
I think there's a big difference between the two sides. One expectant to win this game, and they've got no patience, they try and killer balls all the time, whereas the Hungarians seem to be more happy to keep the ball, and if it's not on to go forward, they'll keep it and start again. And I think the Austrians are starting to get a little bit frustrated now, and Arnautovic, as we know, with his discipline problems, he's got to be careful.
Well, Hinteregger has now been penalised for chopping down Solai on the halfway line. Free kick for Hungary. They don't push it forward though, they're happy to play it through midfield. They get a lucky ricochet, but the ball is with Gira right on the halfway line, chips it forward right-footed. Dragovic is able to let it run over his shoulder, and the Austrian defender, who'll be joining Dortmund at the end of the tournament, lets the ball run behind for a goal kick. Alexander Dragovic is another major talent in the Austrian team, has done ever so well with Dynamo Kiev, and now is being lined up to replace Hummels in the Borussia Dortmund team. Tough act to follow, that will be.
Big boots to follow. Yeah, he's been a terrific player for Dortmund, Hummels, and if he goes and fills them boots, I'll be very impressed. But I think Alaba just set the tone there for me. He was trying to keep the ball and start again. I mean, that's poor, that. The referee's got to protect players like that. You know,
Arnautovic was actually kicked this time by Fiola. Arnautovic felt it, and he's given the Hungarian a word of warning. Is big Arnautovic. The referee didn't really see it, but there might be a bit of a bruise there for Arnautovic, who, as we said, was receiving some treatment to his leg prior to the kick-off. Maybe the Hungarians saw that, or maybe they're just kicking him anyway.
That's what I'm not condoning it, but if I was a manager of the Hungarians, I'd be saying, listen, give him a little niggle, give him a little kick here and there, because he can lose the plot, and if you're playing against 10 men, it's a lot easier. And you know, I'm sure that's a game plan that they've gone out there to try and wind him up a little bit. His reputation goes before him.
Yep. Arnautovic was described as behaving like a child when he was under the management of Jose Mourinho at Inter Milan. He's said to have settled down now at Stoke City, and the Austrian supporters, who were happy to boo their own player when that player was Arnautovic, are now much happier to have him in the team, because he's knuckling down, isn't he? Yeah,
his discipline problems in the Premier League last season were a lot better. His performances, like I said, were a little bit hot and cold, but when he was hot, he was literally unplayable. Remember the game at the Britannia against Manchester City? He completely annihilated Man City in the first half, and if he can take this kind of form into this tournament, he's going to be a big hit with the Austrian fans.
Well, free kick for Austria, Arnautovic in the thick of it again. It's overhit though. Janko, the big man, rises. He's 6'5", but he couldn't reach that when it's scraped away by Hungary. They're a bit lucky that it falls for Zoltan Gira. He clips it up the near touchline. It's given away though, and here's Alaba with the interception. A zigzagging run, and the ball to the edge of the area, runs away from Janko and is cleared by Hungary. Just about. It comes to Christian Fuchs. Fuchs wide to the far side. Chance for the ball to be played in. It's back with Fuchs again, left-footed. Arnautovic with a little flick on, and then Junozovic goes down inside the penalty area. But I think it was a fair thrust of the foot towards the ball by the Hungarian defender to put Janotovic off his stride. It was Viola again in there. Yeah, nothing wrong there.
Great strength.
Good defending.
Used his body really well. He was aware where the attacker was and just shepherded him out of it. A little bit theatrical, he went down, but no foul for me.
Alaba tries to play it forward again for Albania, for Austria. That's the second time I've called them Albania. They're playing in the same colours as they did in our last match. Austria 0, Hungary 0 here on 5 Live Sports Extra from the BBC. But Austria picking the pace up again in the last few minutes.
Yeah, but I think they're getting too impatient. They're trying to force the issue instead of probing, keeping the ball, manipulating the Hungarian defence and midfield, creating holes. They just want to go in one and get forward quickly and score on every attack, and it's not going to happen. They've got to be more patient, and I think they've got to give the Hungarians more respect because they're organised, they're working hard for each other, and they've got good team spirit.
28 minutes played. The match in Bordeaux remains goalless. If you're fresh to our coverage on 5 Live Sports Extra, Austria did hit the post inside the first couple of minutes. In fact, after 1 minute it was Alaba from long range. There's a delay because Nagy, the Hungarian midfielder who won the title with Ferencváros last season, has got a loose bootlace, which he is now attending to.
I was going to say schoolboy error, but he pretty much is a schoolboy, isn't he? What is he? 20?
He's 22. A college student, maybe, rather than a schoolboy.
He looks young.
That's because you're... no, don't say that. The ball is hit long by Austria. It's overhit. Talking of elder citizens, the goal kick is going to be taken by Gabor Kirai, the man in the rather old-looking, tatty-looking tracksuit bottoms that he wore at Crystal Palace. He said they were a lucky charm, didn't he, in the interview, and they were certainly lucky in the first couple of seconds when the ball hit the post.
Yep, whiskers away. I don't think he was anywhere near that either. It was a fantastic strike, just on the inside of the post, and then when your luck's going for you, they can come off the keeper, off the post, and go in the goal. So I suppose he did get a little bit of luck with that. He was clueless to where the ball was anyway.
He says he has to move inside the bottoms, though, for them to be lucky. He can't just stand there. Well, he might have just stood there then, because it wouldn't have made any difference. Here's Fuchs over the halfway line now for Austria in the red, into Alaba. Alaba with a little spin, and then he's dispossessed. He stumbles over. He wasn't happy with the challenge, but it looked fair enough, and 1 or 2 meaty confrontations in midfield. The ball breaks for Austria, and then that was surely a foul by Guzmic. Yes, spotted by the French referee. The Hungarian defender went straight through his man with the ball not particularly close by, and this is going to be a free kick for Austria, and they have 1 or 2 exponents of the dead ball. It was good play by Janotovic. He fooled his man, he drew the foul. Free kick.
I sympathise with both sets of players because I think the referee, Clement Turpin, the French man, he's got a couple of decisions wrong, and both sets of players are having a go at him. He's let a few go, and I'm not sure why. We do want to see the game running and flowing, but I do feel he's missed a couple of fouls, and both sets of players are not happy.
Well, over the ball, Janotovic and Alaba, 2 of the German-based players in the Austrian team. The wall is marched back and is aligned virtually on the curve of the D outside of the penalty area. So the free kick is the best part of 32 yards out. All the focus is on Alaba, the Bayern Munich player. But he could be a decoy. They've got 1 or 2 who can strike the ball. It'll be either him or Janotovic. Everybody else has moved away. There's a white wall of Hungarian defenders to beat, and then the goalkeeper Kirai crouching on his line. It's left to Alaba, who fires it straight into the wall, which didn't seem to be 10 yards away, but it made the block, and in the end it goes down as good defending and a slightly below average free kick.
Not a bad free kick. I thought it looked like it was travelling. It was on target, but I think very strong wall. No skirmish players in there. They all stood to the task and did the job that they were asked to do.
Austria 0, Hungary 0, 32 minutes played. And here on the near side is Dragovic for Austria to the near side. He finds Klein, his fullback. Back to Dragovic, an infield to Alaba, who looks up. Always seems to have time and poise on the ball, flicked on by Arnautovic, but it's not into the penalty area as he intended. It runs out to the near side, and Kadar clears to touch for Hungary. Throw in for Austria. Do you think the Austrians will be slightly disappointed they haven't imposed themselves a bit more on the game, given the fact that they are overwhelmingly the hotter of these two teams coming into the tournament?
Yeah, I think possibly, yeah, and frustrated, but also I think you've got to give credit to the Hungarians. They look organised, they've not been panicking on the ball. A lot of times you see a team that are obviously not as talented as their opposition and they panic on the ball, which makes it that much easier for the talented side. But no, the Hungarians are really holding their own here and looking after the ball well.
Well, the Hungarian centre-forward Solai has been chopped down on the near touchline by the uncompromising Alexander Dragovic, and the result is a free kick for Hungary, but also the first yellow card of the game. Dragovic had slipped over and decided his man was not going to get beyond him, so kind of brought him down with a rake of the studs. Nasty foul, yellow card for Dragovic, free kick for Hungary, chance to apply a bit of pressure with a decent ball into the penalty area.
Takes no prisoners, Dragovic. Unbelievable challenge that. Scraped his studs right down the front of his thigh.
He did.
Be a painful one.
Solai is back up on his feet though. The free kick will be taken by Zizek, the captain for Hungary, who will sweep it in left-footed, two in a wall, but it is quite wide out towards the near touchline as Hungary play in the first half from right to left. In it comes from Zizek towards the far post. It's a free header which is directed well away from goal though, and it runs behind for a goal kick. Solai, the centre forward who hasn't scored in 40 matches, he'll be glad when he does, because I'll stop mentioning it, Trevor, but he was well off target with that one.
I think that was one of the reasons why he's not scored in so
I didn't
many
like
games.
to say that.
Well, that would have been the perfect way to answer back. Someone that's just scraped his studs down your front of your thigh. I'll show you. Free cross, because it's a free kick. You get the ball in a dangerous area.
It's a bad miss on the replay though. He was unmarked 8 yards out.
Yeah, it's a poor effort, to be fair.
So that was the big chance so far for Hungary. Austria 0, Hungary 0. The match yet to really fully capture the imagination. Down in Bordeaux, 0-0 is still the score. Solai has been in the wars, and this time he takes a little bit of retribution by clattering into Fuchs, and it's a free kick for Austria, which is flung out to the near side. Klein lays it back to Dragovic, the number 3. Hits it right-footed towards the edge of the penalty area, and Janko, who heads it down. Here's a chance, a low shot, well saved by Kirai. He got down to his left-hand side to deny Junazovic. Junazovic hit it on target, and Kirai makes the best save of the game so far.
Yeah, big strong wrist. It bounced just in front of him as well, so very difficult task to keep that one out. Slippery surface, because we've had a lot of rain earlier before the game. Oh, big strong wrist.
Yeah, good save. He's still got it at the age of 40. He's back now with his hometown club in Hungary, where it all started for him. And Hungary have to defend the corner to be taken on the near side. In towards the near post. It was attacked in there by the big man, Hinteregger, up from the back. And he has blasted it wide. He was under a lot of pressure. He was near the front post, but it's off target.
Yeah, very difficult task that, to get the ball into that near post area when you've passed the near post. Good defending. They had 2 men on him, one just in front, stopping anything going on target.
35 minutes played, 0-0, 5 Live Sports Extra. At half-time we'll be hearing from Adam Lallana, by the way, the England midfield man, looking forward to the match against Wales, and particular coming up against Gareth Bale, his former teammates, as they went through the Southampton Academy together. Arnautovic is down injured. He's getting lots of whistles from the Hungarian supporters, who sense a little bit of play acting.
Great tackle.
It was a good tackle on him this time. He does 3 or 4 rolls.
You just see that on the outside of his knee as well. Before the game started, we see him getting a little bit of treatment on his knee. I think Arnautovic, the way he's controlling the ball, the way he's moving, he might have a problem with that knee.
Yeah, as we were saying, he's been fairly quiet, Arnautovic, given the array of talent he does have at his disposal. He played very well for Stoke towards the end of the season as well, when Stoke City generally as a club were struggling for results. Here's Harnik down the near side for Austria. He's beaten to the ball though by Lang, and Lang knocks it away for a throw-in close to the corner flag. Throw-in on the near side for Austria. Can they produce a spark before half-time? 8 minutes left in the first half in Bordeaux. Klein is going to take the throw. 5 yards from the corner flag. helped on into the penalty area, could break there for Arnautovic, but he couldn't properly control it. It runs off his thigh. He was under heaps of pressure there from the covering defender. He was close to goal, but there was no way he was going to get a strike at goal, and it's behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, nice little play from the throw-in. Good movement, landed in the box, and Arnautovic just couldn't get that on target off his knee. It was more of a reaction one.
The ball is loose in midfield, won by Nagy there for Hungary, and now it's Kleinheisler to the far side, helped on by his captain Zuzak, overlapping his Fiola. In comes the cross from the right back, but well claimed by Alma in the goal for Austria. It remains 0-0. The Hungarians have had more of the ball in terms of passes made. Their accuracy has been better as well. The more direct threat has come from Austria, but we're talking tight margins and it's a tight game.
Yeah, and what a great opportunity for Fiola, the right back for Hungary. He was in a fantastic position in the final third to deliver a cross, and he put it into the goalkeeper's hands. I don't know how many times I've said this: second 6-yard box, keep it away from the keeper, give your attacker something to attack, and let's see what happens. Too easy.
Here's Klein driving infield. Good run by the fullback for Austria. He claims a foul as he goes over, but it's clipped away by Hungary back into the Austrian half and all the way through to goalkeeper Alma. Now it's Christian Fuchs on the far side. What a season he had with Leicester City, playing that marvellous ball for Jamie Vardy's record-breaking goal. You might remember that one against Manchester United. He's got a long throw as well in his armoury as Christian Fuchs. We haven't seen that yet, but we are watching Harnik of Stuttgart losing the ball on the near side for Austria, and Hungary playing it neatly to Zoltan Gira. He slips over, but reinforcements are there in white for Hungary, and it's back on the edge of their own penalty area. Played forward now to Kadar. Kadar looks up, almost slips, and then jinks in the field. Should good control of the ball, finds Kleinheisler, and now it's played by Guzmic to the far side, and Fiola coming forward again. It's a decent ball into Kleinheisler, but cleared by Austria. Then Zuzak with a ball into the Austrian penalty area, which runs a long way, but Klein had control of the situation. Florian Klein, and he clears for Austria. 5 minutes left in the first half. Goalless on 5 Live Sports Extra. Baumgartlinger has won it again for Austria. He of the moppy head of black hair, and the ball has run out of play. The two coaches, both of them on the near touchline, not looking particularly pensive, and the score remains at 0-0 as Alaba plays it long for Arnautovic, but it's cut out by Fiola. Fiola read it well.
Good defending.
And heads it back to his goalkeeper, and then he makes the run forward to collect the ball, which is thrown out overarm by Kirai to Fiola. Fiola in field to Zuzak. Zuzak forward, and it's intercepted by Hinteregger at the back for Austria. Alaba with a touch to Arnautovic. Arnautovic, lovely flick to Junuzovic, back to Arnautovic into the penalty area on the left-hand side, crosses it to the far post, and there was Harnik, and Harnik kicked it off his right foot onto his left leg as he slipped, and he hits it woefully wide of the near post. He had space after wonderful approach play involving Arnautovic, but they failed to capitalise.
Should have pulled it back for Janko. He was on the pullback. He's gone across the 6-yard box, but if you have a look at it now, Janko, great movement. He just wanted it pulled back there and put a little bit too much of it for the man coming in at the far post.
Yeah, he was always slipping there, but Arnautovic, lovely little flick in the build-up there, but as you say, the final ball he played into the penalty area wasn't really the right one. It was still a good chance for Harnik coming in at the far post, but Janko would have had a very good opportunity, a clear-cut opportunity at the near post.
Especially as the defender that was marking him slipped over right at the crucial time as well. Harnik just couldn't get there. It was a little bit too much pace on the ball, and he slipped and kind of scuppered his lines.
In the 42nd minute of the first half, the match in Bordeaux remains with a scoreline of Austria 0, Hungary 0. And Alaba's ball to the near side is just overhit for Junuzovic, and it's out for a throw-in.
Games become very stretched, Ian, and I think with it being stretched, I think you look at both the sides and individual skill on individual players for both sides, and you have to say that Austria suit this game better as it goes on.
Hungary give the ball away rather tamely, and then Alaba is flat-footed, and the ball's taken away by Hungary. Nagy forward to Kleinheisler into the penalty area. Zuzak with a chance from the angle. Oh, he's pulled it across the face of goal and wide. That was a chance for the Hungarian captain. Balázs Zuzak, free inside the penalty area. The angle wasn't the greatest, but surely he should have hit the target from there.
Yeah, I'd be disappointed. Great goal scoring situation. I think the goalkeeper did really well, got his angles all right, stood up, made himself big, but he's got it onto his right foot there. I think he's left footed by the look of his first touch, and he has scuffed his lines there, nowhere near the target. It's one of them though, if someone's having a gamble to go on the far post, they could get a tap in there, but unfortunately he was on his own.
Hungary have had two very good chances now, haven't they? The free header for the centre forward, and now this one too.
No slouches, they're well organised, they've got plenty of legs on them, and a fantastic team spirit, and they're looking after the ball really well, especially Naj. He's got great composure on the ball for such a young player. Easy on the eye, slender midfielder, very elegant, and at times he's dictating the game.
Kadar with the ball, which is a poor one actually, in from the near flank for Hungary, straight to Alma in the goal for Austria. Shaven headed figure. He will clear now.
Great style. From
his gloves. Is yours shaved or non-existent? I've always been too polite to ask, but as he mentioned it...
No comment. It's gone, long gone.
The ball is cleared away on this near side by Hungary for an Austrian throw, which is taken to Baumgartlinger. And then a foul is committed by Martin Harnik. He went in very strongly there on the Hungarian player, Kleinheisler, who clambers to his feet and seems to be okay. We're into the final minutes of normal time in the first 45 in Bordeaux. It's 0-0, and we'll be watching out for the fourth official shortly. All of the officials for this one from the host nation of France. The board is cleared by Kirai, keeping a clean sheet on a big occasion for Gabor Kirai, the oldest player ever in a European Championship finals, taking the record off Lothar Matthäus, who was 39 and playing in midfield. I think that's still a greater achievement, being an outfield player.
Absolutely. I'm not sure how much Lothar moved at that old age. He just read the game so well.
Didn't need to move too much, did he?
Absolutely.
Just controlled it from close to the centre circle. Here's Arnautovic now for Austria in the red, rolls it to the near side to Dragovic, the only man on a yellow card from the first half. He finds Klein with a ball into the penalty area, overhit for Janko. He's a big man, but they're not finding him with their crosses, they're overhitting them. And we've got 1 minute added on, which seems to be the statutory amount added on at the end of first halves at this tournament, and it'll be 3 at the end of the 90 minutes as well if the pattern continues.
Yeah, I think Turpin, the referees, let this game flow really well, because there's been a few challenges. He's not made a meal out of them, he's not been getting his card out willy-nilly, and it's made for quite an entertaining game.
And the yellow card he did give to Dragovic was a very straightforward decision, it must be said. Long ball by Austria. We've had 40 seconds of the additional minute, so Kirai will take his time and roll the ball to the near side to Lang forward, fair-headed for Hungary, up over the halfway line, and then played in the field neatly by Nemeth, who was once on the books at Liverpool without getting much of a look in. Now it's Guzmic out to the far side, and Fiola, the right back, who likes to come forward for Hungary. No opportunity to do so on this occasion because it's half-time, and Trevor Sinclair, it's goalless between Austria and Hungary.
And again, I'm going to repeat myself, the new 24 team format of the Euros. You know, a lot of people were saying there's going to be some teams that are just not good enough. If you look at Hungary, they came through on the playoffs. If anyone's not going to be good enough, it would be them, and they've really held their own in that first half, and unfortunate not to be 1-0 up with the chances that they created for themselves.
Yeah, Austria hit the post early on, didn't they, through Alaba from outside of the penalty area, and they also tested Kirai with a low shot from Junuzovic, but we can't overlook those Hungarian chances as well. Zuzak towards half-time, bearing down on goal from the right and hitting the ball right across the face of goal. And the earlier free header for Adam Salai, which he headed horribly off target. We could have had a couple of goals per side here, Trevor.
Yeah, it's been quite entertaining. I think no team sitting back and just expecting to defend the whole game. And I've been pleasantly surprised with the Hungarians. I think they've looked after the ball really well. They've probably got a little bit more patience because the impetus is not on them to win this game, and they seem to be handling the situation and the occasion a little bit better than the Austrians, who seem a bit impatient and seem to think, well, we should be winning by now. They've got to get that out of their head, do things right, be patient, look after the ball, and it will come.
Well, it was very even the first half, both teams with 6 attempts on goal, and each team with 2 of those on target. You're listening to 5 Live Sports Extra. Live commentary on the match being played in Bordeaux, where at half-time it's Austria 0, Hungary 0.
Euro 2016 on 5 Live Sport.
5 Live Breakfast.
On 5 Live Breakfast this morning, former Executive Director of the FA, David Davis, told us the threat to kick teams out of Euro 2016 is very real.
What's changed from my time to today is very clearly that everyone knows the security, the terrorism threat is there, and that is what the French authorities have to have as their number one priority. So there's no sympathy for anybody who has any involvement with hooliganism of any sort and causing issues for the French.
5 Live Breakfast.
Weekday mornings from 6.
This is Ian Brown bringing you coverage of the match in Bordeaux in Group F of Euro 2016, where it's Austria 0, Hungary 0 at half-time. At 8 o'clock over on 5 Live, we're in Saint-Étienne for Portugal against Iceland. The other match in this group, by the end of that one, we'll have seen all 24 teams, and we will have seen Cristiano Ronaldo in action for a first time in the tournament. Well, next up, of course, for England will be the big one, the big clash against Wales. That's on Thursday afternoon, 2 o'clock kickoff UK time in Lens. And we can hear now from the England midfielder Adam Lallana, who in that match will be coming up against his former Southampton Academy teammate, a certain Gareth Bale. And the question, of course, for Lallana, how close are the pair now?
Not extremely close, but we grew up playing in the same academy, and I made my debut with him in the team. But when we played Madrid in the Champions League a couple of years ago, I spent 15-20 minutes with him after the match. So definitely friends, and I'm sure I'll have a catch up with him after the game in a couple of days.
Has he been an inspiration to you?
I think he's been an inspiration to a lot of young players, especially how late he developed and came on the scene. I think we've got Jamie Vardy who developed late and came on the scene late, and that was probably the same with Gareth as well. So I think they're great role models for young players that face disappointment maybe at one club, and just to show to them not to give up and keep working hard, because you can break onto the scene a little bit later and still have a successful career.
But as you've alluded to, it would be naive to think they're just a one-man team. As you mentioned, Joe Allen, a player who you know well. There's Aaron Ramsey, Ashley Williams.
Yeah, they've got a very... you look at their team on paper, especially their starting 11, they're a very good team. So we need to be careful and as I said, not put all our attention towards Gareth.
Jack Wilshere the other day had said that England have the better players, and I spoke to Ewan Roberts, the former Welsh international, yesterday, and he says that Jack might have done the team talk for the Welsh lads. So I replied to him on the radio. I said, well, Gareth Bale's comments about England lacking pride and passion might equally have done the same for the England players. Is that part and parcel of the build-up to the game?
Of course it is. There's plenty of press conferences, plenty of talk in the media, and you're always going to get little lines out of players here and there, and it does add to the atmosphere. But as soon as game comes around, that's all forgotten, and we all mean business.
Have you and the rest of the players, are you worried about the threat of expulsion?
No, but I think it's important that all fans are safe and sensible, especially after some of the footage that's been out there for everyone to see the other night. It was a bit distressing and not nice to see. So by all means, enjoy it. Relish the occasion, and it's great to have a good atmosphere inside the ground. But be respectful, and it's a sport at the end of the day. Everyone wants to be going home, see their families afterwards.
And finally, how satisfied were you with your own performance? I mean, the first half, England were terrific.
Yeah, as I said earlier, we felt that we were playing well. There's no better feeling when you know you're playing well. You're on the same wavelength as your teammates, and there was no fear in our performance. And the result, didn't do us justice. But we'll take what we need to take out of the performance and take that into the Wales game. And we keep playing like that, with that spirit, that fight, that honesty, then we'll be fine.
Yes, I'm sure there will be a fair amount of spirit and fire on the pitch there in Lons on Thursday afternoon. A reminder that it kicks off at 2 o'clock, and we'll be there, of course, on 5 Live Thursday afternoon. Also on Thursday, Northern Ireland play their second match, a key one for them, one they really do need to win against Ukraine. That's the 5 o'clock game on Thursday. Then at 8 o'clock, another little local derby, a bit of a skirmish, Germany against Poland. That's your Thursday entertainment on 5 Live. Tomorrow it's Russia against Slovakia on 5 Live, Romania against Switzerland here on 5 Live Sports Extra, and then France against Albania back over on 5 Live. The French playing Albania in Marseille. Well, away from the Euro Championships, it's been confirmed today that Ronald Koeman has joined Everton as manager from Southampton on a 3-year deal. England defender Ryan Bertrand was at Southampton with Koeman. Earlier, he was asked how grateful he was to have played under the Dutchman.
Very. Managed to A, get the chance to go down to Southampton, and B, to, his style of play enabled, me to really express myself, and we're here today.
So the influence that he's had on your career is that you feel you're a better player because of him?
Yeah, definitely. In the way he sets teams up, Southampton gave me the kind of platform, and he allowed myself to go out there and express myself.
And as a forward-thinking club, you'll have faith that they'll get the next appointment right.
Definitely. It's something I haven't really thought about too much. Being here and stuff, we got so much to concentrate on, but no doubt after the tournament I'll get my head round to that. But the club's in safe hands. They've rebuilt on more than one occasion, and I'm sure they'll do it again.
From a personal point of view, how unsettling was it for you? Because when we saw you, was it a calf injury you had? We saw you training alone. How unsettling was that in the build-up to the tournament?
Yeah, it's never ideal to get them sort of small injuries and stuff, but that's football. Yeah, over the years you get used to dealing with disappointments, and there's no point in dwelling on it. You might as well get back, get ready, and put yourself in the frame again.
But we saw from the first game, the fullbacks are key to how England play, aren't they? They dictate the way England play. They provide the width.
Definitely, it's one aspect that we try to emphasise. It's the play of our fullbacks, and we're going to be a major part going forward.
Have the players spoke much about the threat of expulsion?
Not really. No. It wouldn't cross our mind.
You just focus on the football.
Definitely.
How confident are you that if England can reproduce the first half performance, that you'll then get the first win?
Yeah, I think especially touching on especially the first half performance was very good. Like I said, unfortunately, it wasn't really down to taking our chances. Perhaps the chance that we did have, we struck the ball a bit too clean. They went a bit too straight, and a little slice here and there, and would have benefited us. And hopefully we get that small bit of fortune on Thursday.
And finally, from me, is it a question of you playing the match rather than the occasion, because it is like a derby?
Definitely, that's one thing that I've always stuck by. No matter you got to play the game and not the occasion. You can't get too caught up in the build-up and stuff, because it's just going to be another game.
That was Ryan Bertrand, looking forward to playing again for England if he gets the nod, of course, on Thursday, and also talking a little there about Ronald Koeman, his manager at Southampton, as was, because Koeman is going to Everton. Trevor Sinclair is alongside myself here watching the match in Bordeaux. We're awaiting the return of the teams for the second half. It's 0-0 between Austria and Hungary. What do you make of the appointment of Ronald Koeman? It's been a while in the making, and finally it's been confirmed today.
Well, I think if you're an Everton fan and someone associated with Everton Football Club, it's an absolutely tremendous signing. He seems like he knows how to get a group of players playing. He's got that respect. I think he gets that respect wherever he goes. He seems like a humble man. He's not going to cause any problems like we've seen so many managers do in the past. And I think you look at the way the team played, and especially players like Mane at Southampton, when there was a problem, Manchester United were presumably interested in him. He calmed him down, spoke to him, got him back out there performing for Southampton. So from an Everton perspective, I think it's outstanding. Not so if you're a Saints fan. I think they really enjoyed the team, what they achieved last season, 6th Europa League, and for him to leave, I don't think there's too many happy fans, because he had, by all accounts, a year left on his contract.
Yes, he did. It cost Everton £5 million to buy him out of that. Of course, Everton have a new major shareholder, the Iranian Farhad Moshiri, and you assume that this kind of change would not have happened without his financial input. And I assume Koeman's had some reassurances about holding on to star players and also adding to the squad.
Yeah, you'd like to think so. Obviously Lukaku, Stones, they've got some good players, Barkley. But I think initially what was the initial problem, by all accounts, is Koeman wasn't offered the contract that he thought he deserved, and he didn't get the rewards that he felt he deserved, and that started the problems for Southampton. So I don't think they can be too unhappy that he's ended up thinking, well, that's not good enough, I deserve more than that, and I'm going further afield to get what I feel like I deserve. And obviously a fantastic project with Moshiri taking over Everton, and presumably then wanting to get it back into the top 4.
And now another managerial vacancy. Southampton in the past have always seemed to have a plan. Pochettino came in out of left field, and then Koeman. There always seems to be a line of succession.
Yeah, they've got a great business plan there, and it seems like it doesn't matter what players leave, what manager leaves, they seem to keep on improving, and it's astonishing really. At the beginning of the season I really did think they were in trouble. They'd let some good players go once again, and I felt like they'd probably let too many go, and the squad looked a bit light, the team spirit wasn't as good as it was, but yet again, they find a way to get players. They've obviously got a recruitment situation which is outside the normal thinking. They get players in who can perform at the Premier League level, and this season has been a massive success. I think Koeman's broken all records for the club with points tally, and onwards and upwards. I'm sure they'll get the right man, because they always seem to, and I wish him well for next season.
And of course we'll keep you right across the Southampton story as it develops this summer on 5 Live and 5 Live Sports Extra. You're listening to Extra at the moment. Austria 0, Hungary 0 is the scoreline in this match in Bordeaux in Group F. The first time we've seen these two nations. Later it's Portugal against Iceland. Kirai, the goalkeeper for Hungary, becoming the oldest player ever in a European Championship finals tournament. A clean sheet so far for him, though Austria, through Alaba, hit the post early on. Kirai also made an excellent save from Junuzovic, and Hungary have come close as well, or they should have come close actually. They had 2 good chances for Zuzak and Solai, and when I think about it, they weren't that close at all.
They weren't. Both of them were very poor efforts, especially the header. You've got a big strapping number 9 there, Solai. The ball's at his head, 8 yards out from a cross, and he completely fluffed his lines. You'd like to see a lot more commitment into that header and trying to hit the target, and he didn't seem that interested. Got his timing wrong, and it went wildly wide of the mark.
Well, there were some bumps and bruises in the first half, no doubt about that. We expected that, because this is a match with a local derby flavour to it. Neighbours in Central Europe. They are the teams, the nations that have met the most over the years in European football. We're underway in the second half. It is 0-0, and in the second period, Austria in the red and black will be playing from right to left. Hungary have had to change into the white, and they're attacking away to our right, and they're coming forward at the start of the second period in Bordeaux. Here's Fiola, the right back. He hits one low, and it's well claimed by goalkeeper Alma. I think it was decelerating actually as it reached the goalkeeper, and a simple stop.
We call them a daisy cutter. Not quite got the power to get there. I actually really like the new ruling for the kickoff. It's obviously becoming iconic now, just one player on the ball to kick off, but I think it was a finicky rule anyway, wasn't it? It's got to go forward before it goes back. I'm a big fan of the new rule.
Yes, you had to have 2 players deployed for the kick-off, didn't you? Because it had to go forward.
In your own half, so you had to move the ball away from the pair of you and then to go backwards. But yeah, it was a bit finicky, and one of the rule changes that I think makes a difference, and it makes sense as well.
Here come Austria, first attack of the second half, but the crossfield ball into the penalty area is chested down by the Hungarian defender Kadar with the long hair and the beard. He's been fully involved in the match so far, and he defended that well, finding his man, and now it's Gira. Gira chips it elegantly out to the near side, where it's controlled by Zuzak, who had that very good chance towards half-time for Hungary. 2 landlocked countries, and they're locked together in this opening match in Group F. I can remind you of the lineups. There have been no changes, as I say. Austria, a very settled team. The only real question was, would Prödl of Watford play at centre-back? But that role has been given to Hinteregger. And their lineup is Almer in goal, then Klein, Hinteregger, Dragovic and Fuchs. Dragovic, the only player to be booked in the first half. And then in midfield, the holding players, Baumgartlinger and Alaba. Alaba with the licence to get forward, though, as he showed in the first few seconds of the game. Then it's Arnautovic, Junuzovic and Harnik behind Marko Janko. Janko, the man with 25 goals for his country, 7 in qualification, but no clear chance so far for the big Austrian number 21 as he is. Hungary building near side. And the ball is with Fiola. Was he onside? He was. Back to his captain, Zuzak, who couldn't control the ball. And Arnautovic is in there for Austria, who have it in the full-back position. Fuchs hits it up over the halfway line. Hungary head it back, and it's intercepted by Arnautovic. And here now is Baumgartlinger. Baumgartlinger for Austria to the near side. Junuzovic to Alaba, overlapping low and into the penalty area. Almost broke there for the man in the middle, Janko, who couldn't control it. It's cleared away. Back to Junuzovic. In comes the cross. Should be headed away by Hungary. Slightly desperate defending now. They need to whack it away, and they do. Successfully this time. It was Kleinheisler with the final clearance. So Kirai in goal for Hungary. Then Kadar, Lang, Guzmic and Fiola. Gira and Naj, the holding players. Zuzak and Nemeth are wide, and Kleinheisler in behind Solai, and it's still 0-0. Bit of pressure applied there by Austria.
Yeah, good play, good movement off the ball by Austria. You know, as soon as the ball was going into one player, there was movement going beyond him, and that's really difficult to mark because you're always on the move, you're always anticipating where the ball's going to end up. The overlap was going straight into the final third, behind a line. Again, we see that great 1-2 by Arnautovic.
Fuchs to Arnautovic to the red ball line. In comes the cross. Oh, it's a messy clearance, and they got away with it, Hungary. They dragged the ball clear. The defender at the near post completely missed out. He should have knocked that ball away, but he was aided by the man behind him, and Hungary are able to work it over the halfway line. Solai to Zuzak. Zuzak infield to Kleinleiser. Back towards Solai. Was there a foul off the ball there? Don't think the referee's given anything, and the ball has run behind for a goal kick.
I think it was Gumic, the defender. Complete air shot. Could have ended up in the back of his net. First rule of a defender, keep your eye on the ball. I think his head was up, and he needs to make sure he makes contact with the ball and clear it. Very lucky.
5th minute of the second half. The match in Bordeaux is still goalless as Kirai prepares to take a goal kick. Look at the state of those jogging bottoms covered in grass stains.
He'll have to soak them before he gets them in the wash.
Yeah. His mum won't be happy with the laundry when it's brought back to her.
Sounds familiar.
The ball is back with the goalkeeper at the other end. It's Robert Almer, who is more orthodoxly attired, shall we say.
Some colour.
Most goalkeepers like to stand out, though. He's fluorescent, isn't he, in lime green, the goalkeeper for Austria. Almer. I'm not going to say how many minutes he kept a clean sheet for in qualification, because Trevor will ask me again to work out how many matches that was.
Sorry about that.
I'm not Rachel Riley, you know.
I couldn't help it.
Did you notice that? Here at the back is the centre-back, Hinteregger for Austria. It's a poor ball by him, easily intercepted by Zoltan Gira. Gira up to the halfway line. Dabs it out to the near side towards Zuzak, but Austria clear deep into the Hungarian half and all the way through to Gabor Kirai. who adds some more muds and grass to his collection by sliding on his trousered knees to gather the ball for Hungary. And Hungary now over the halfway line. Nice ball to the near side. Fiola, he loves to come romping forward from right back, and he's handy on the ball as well as he squares it now to Gira. Gira from a long way out, skidding shot wide of the far post by a good 2 or 3 yards, and a goal kick again for Austria, and still 0-0.
Yeah, still 0-0. Not a bad effort. You know, it opened up in front of him about 25-30 yards out, and as we said earlier, Gira is always likely to look to get a shot in, and it's a pretty good habit to have. You know, if you can strike the ball well. Just wide then, but he's getting closer.
5 Live Sports Extra from the BBC. This is Euro 2016. We have another match on Extra tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Switzerland against Romania. The Swiss hoping to build on their victory over Albania. The ball is played across the Hungarian penalty area, but it's too deep and should be cleared away by Kadar on the far side. He's given it away. That was very loose.
Cheap.
Austria have it back. Here's Janozovic. And behind him it's Fuchs, the captain, out to Arnautovic with that little bob of hair. His mum wanted him to cut it off, but his girlfriend said no. I think that's the story, or maybe the other way around. There was a little bit of an argument about it, but it stays for the time being. The ball is played forward to Alaba for Austria. He's 35 yards out from goal. Needs a bit of support from his colleague there in midfield. Baumgartlinger out to the far side, and Klein back into the centre circle. Austria content to keep possession of the ball. We're yet to have a 0-0 match actually in Euro 2016. Don't want to tempt fate.
Just our luck.
That's the way of things at the moment. The ball is high into the penalty area. Gabor Kiraly is there again, the Hungarian goalkeeper, to clutch the ball.
I think Marcel Koller, the manager for Austria, has had a word with the players and told them to be a bit more patient. You can see that straight away in the build-up. They're not in a rush to get the ball forward. They're a little bit more patient. They're recycling the ball better. And I think if they continue to do that, gaps will appear in the Hungarian side and they'll get more chances.
Austria in the European finals for only a second time. The first time they've ever qualified, they were already there automatically as hosts 8 years ago when they were the co-hosts with Switzerland, and neither of the home nations got out of the group section, and that was quite embarrassing for the Austrians in Vienna. But they've rebuilt, they've got better players now. Here's one of them, Arnautovic, low one to the edge of the penalty area, cleared as far as Alaba on his left foot. He's shaping to shoot, gives it short instead to Arnautovic on his right foot, wriggling out towards the far side. The support from Harnik in towards Alaba, who misses his kick, and it's cleared away by Gira for Hungary out to the far side, and they perhaps have the opportunity to break with Kleinheisler. He's got possession, neat little turn and pirouette on the halfway line. He needs support. It's there from Gira to Kadar wearing number 4, approaching the edge of the Austrian penalty area for Hungary, out to Nemeth on the far side. Kadar's just behind him. There's that Welsh flag over on the far side, Trevor. I did tell you.
I can't read it. I think it's Welsh.
It is. Long range effort comes in there for Hungary. It was the captain Zuzak on target with a rising drive from the best part of 30 yards and kept out by goalkeeper Alma, who had to spring away to his right hand side to punch it away over the top of the bar for a corner.
Great effort again, changing the tempo, changing the urgency. Naj, he gets the ball, it's a really nice sharp turn, gives it into his teammate and gives him the opportunity to get the shot off.
Low corner in towards the near post, trying to spin onto that one was Gira, but it's clubbed away by Austria. Anyone will do on this occasion. It alights inside Hungarian territory with Fiola, and it's back to their goalkeeper Kiraly, will strike through the ball right-footed out towards the far side. 55 minutes played. We await the first goal in Bordeaux on 5 Live Sports Extra, and we have a free kick now for Hungary, and they're having a brighter patch in the match now. Trevor Sinclair.
Yeah, long ball, nice diagonal. They won the header straight into the centre forward. Salai, he held it up, brought his midfielder into play, and it's good play. I said this early doors in the first half. When a team presses you so high, you can't play in your own final third. You have to turn the line. That's what they're doing now, and it's going to give the Austrians a problem because they won't want to squeeze, and then they've earned the right to play in their own half. It
will be Zuzak, the captain, to strike this one. It's a long way out. He could go for goal. He could clip it into the box. The wall is a good 8 yards outside of the penalty area, just 2 in the wall for Austria, including Alaba. So Zuzak, the former PSV Eindhoven man, clips it into the penalty area and away on the half volley by Hinteregger. Decent defending by the Mönchengladbach man, and the ball is out on the far side with Zuzak again for Hungary. Down the far touchline to Nemeth, who hooks it back to a point just outside of the penalty area. Kleinheisler heads it forward, but there again is Hinteregger to clear for Austria. It's a bit messy in midfield. Hungary being closed down by their Austrian opponents. We have a player for Austria down in the centre circle. The referee has spotted it, and Christian Fuchs, the Austrian captain, will deliberately play the ball out for a throw-in because Janko is down injured. It was a clash with Guzmic. Bit of a shoulder in the small of the back, or the upper part of the back, and he fell a little bit heavily, but nothing too sinister in that. Or maybe it was just a slight clash of heads, but nothing untoward.
Food and drink that for a centre-half. Committed to the ball, won the ball, nice fair and square, and unfortunately the attacking player had to take a little bit of his shoulder in the meantime. He's felt it though, it's a heavy blow.
Yeah, and he's not the only Austrian with a bit of a problem, because the playmaker Junuzovic, who was down for a while in the first half when he turned his ankle, in many ways we're surprised to see him able to carry on after the way he turned his ankle in the first half, but he's down again, receiving more treatment.
This is the problem, you know, you might think, oh, I'll run it off, you know, the adrenaline's running, you don't feel the pain so much, and you carry on. I think what probably happened is half time's happened, he's sat still for 15 minutes, and then he's gone back out there and it's really stiffened up, and I'll be surprised if he's able to continue, because it really did look like a nasty injury when he went over on his ankle in midway through the first half, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Went over on his ankle then. He had a shoulder problem coming into the tournament. He's getting a pat on the back there from the physiotherapy team as he walks over, trudges over, should I say, to the touchline. He gets a pat on the back from his opposing number 10, Zoltan Gira. Alaba is asking, what's the problem? Is it terminal? It is in terms of this match, I think. Yeah, head bowed. He has to depart, Junuzovic, and Austria will have to make in the next few moments the first substitution of the game. Here he comes. Sabitzer is coming on. Marcel Sabitzer of Leipzig, recently promoted in Germany, wearing number 20. They're still organising things actually for the substitution to take place on the near touchline. The fourth official is making sure that he is prominent. He's having a little bit of a row there with the coach, Marcel Koller, who wasn't too happy, and still the substitution hasn't been made properly. And Austria down to 10 men as the ball is cleared by their goalkeeper Alma up this near side. Arnautovic will chase up against Viola. That's been some battle down the Austrian right. Junuzovic has retreated now to the substitutes bench and will sit down. And on finally comes Sabitzer, Marcel Sabitzer, winning his 20th cap. Another promising young player to come on into the midfield, but he's got some player to replace. Junuzovic has gone for Austria. That's a setback, maybe longer term as well, into the competition as it wears on.
Yeah, that's the problem. You know, carrying on, it's great. You want to get the continue playing, and you want to get the points on the board, but if you have done damage by playing on, you will do more damage, and it'll be interesting to see if he makes the next game, because it's quite difficult to recover from an ankle injury when your ligaments are damaged.
Austria coming forward, but it was a dreadful ball by Klein, and an error at the other end has almost let in Solai. Solai coming forward, the forward for Hungary, but he's run off the ball there by Hinteregger. Good play by the German-based defender for Austria. He gets the ball away and it ricochets out for a throw-in on the near side for Austria, which Fuchs is going to take.
Solai should have had a shot there. I don't understand why he didn't. You know, the ball was bouncing kindly for him. He was about 30 yards out, and his touch was appalling. You know, he gave the ball away, and he must be kicking himself thinking I might as well have shot there.
Here's Jarnik on the far side for Austria, level with a penalty area. Left-footed cross comes in, takes a bit of a deflection, could run for a corner, unless Viola can keep it in play, and I don't think he has. He's overrun it. He did get to it, he touched it, and he played it behind, and it's going to be a corner for Austria. Still Austria 0, Hungary 0. We've played for an hour now in this match in Bordeaux on 5 Live Sports Extra, and the Leicester City man, Christian Fuchs, is coming across to take an out-swinging corner on his left foot for Austria. Plenty of players compacted inside the box. Some late runs coming in. It's deep towards the far post, towards Harnik, but cleared away there fairly confidently by Hungary and almost back to the halfway line. We can see the floodlights coming into play now in Bordeaux with the shadows of the players. Alaba chasing a long punt forward for Austria, but it beats him and it bounces away for a goal kick. We had murky skies earlier, a little bit of very weak sunshine, and now the floodlights are required. We can see them shining down on a match which is almost reaching the point where we start to say we could do with a goal.
Absolutely. Great defending, though, I have to say, by Kadar for the Hungary defence. Really good cross into that second 6-yard box. The keeper couldn't come for it. He had to be brave, and he could have took one on the back of the head, but very good defending to clear the ball.
You're talking about Solai, the striker for Hungary, should really have shot earlier, but when you haven't scored in such a long time, maybe you don't have the confidence. If you haven't got the confidence, though, should you be out there?
Ian, he won't get confidence from that first touch.
Here's Kleinheisler. Oh, here he is, the man I was just talking about. And would you believe he scored his first goal in 41 matches? And Hungary take the lead against the odds, against the much fancied Austrians. Adam Solai sliding forward onto a loose ball, 10 yards out, strikes it low beyond the goalkeeper Alma, and Hungary, the underdogs, have taken the lead in Bordeaux. It's Austria 0, Hungary 1.
Absolutely brilliant link-up play. Look at this, chest it down. He's not content with that. He's getting back in the danger zone, looking over his shoulder, little 1-2, and go again. I thought he was offside, but he's not. He's definitely onside. First touch was a bit heavy. Great bravery to get his outside of his foot to the ball first. Fantastic goal. And I think that's testament to Bernard Starch, the Hungarian manager. He stayed faithful to his centre forward, and he's got the rewards. Beautiful play.
His first touch was a little bit heavy, but he was able to slide after it and send the ball into the back of the net. Yeah, Hungary have taken the lead. Listeners to 5 Live joining us for the update. Austria 0, Hungary 1. The goal on 63 minutes, so a little bit of an upset brewing here because the Austrians were fancied as dark horses in the competition, and the goal scorer Adam Solai, and that's a bit of a surprise. He is the number 9 for Hungary, but he hasn't scored for 18 months in any match whatsoever. But all of a sudden there he was playing a 1-2 with Kleinheisler on the edge of the penalty area. Very neat play by the Hungarians, and he was able to slide in and score from close range. Adam Solai on target. We've played 64 minutes in this match in Bordeaux, and Hungary, somewhat surprisingly, lead Austria by 1-0. So there we are. What about that?
I think they've deserved it. They've held their own, as we said. They've competed all over the park, and they've had just as many chances as Austria. But I think we were starting to begin to think that Salah wasn't much use up there. He was missing headers. The ball was bouncing off his foot. He wasn't taking opportunities to shoot when they came to him. And if I was the manager of Hungary, I would have been thinking about taking him off. He stayed loyal to him. He stayed faithful. And what an absolutely fantastic finish. Great link-up play, a double 1-2 and a brave finish at the end of it. Deserved that goal. Superb play.
So Hungary 1, Austria 0 the score here in this match in Bordeaux. And a very fine finish in the end by Solai, the Hanover player. He's been with Hoffenheim, then on loan at Hanover. He's been playing games for Hungary. He hasn't been able to find the net, and now he has.
And you look at the balance of the game, and I just feel that the shape of the Hungarians looks a lot better to suit their players. For me, I'm looking at the Austrian team, and a lot of the players are on top of each other. They're not quite sure where they need to be. They can't really get themselves going. Again, I'll compliment the Hungarians, but it looks like they're the more fluid side.
Austria a goal down. They have the ball on the edge of the area, though. They're pressing for a quick equaliser. There's the shot from the edge of the penalty area, but the whistle's already been blasted by the referee, and it's going to be a yellow card for the Austrian Dragovic, who might be sent off here. He's already on a yellow, isn't he?
If it's him, he's off.
The ball's in the net. Dragovic is walking. He knows he's been sent off. So there was an incident in the build-up to that shot into the net, spotted by the referee. Arnautovic is complaining, but Dragovic has been sent off. The Austrian centre-back sent off for an off-the-ball incident.
It was a late challenge.
Yellow card.
It was a late challenge, Ian. As they were all trying to get on the ball, just on the edge of the Hungary box. Number 4, Kadar clears it. I mean, it's a poor challenge. He's never going to get there. That's ill discipline for me. He knows he's not going to get there. He's already been booked. You know, it's just putting his teammates in a ridiculous position. He shouldn't have done that. Poor play from him, and I'm sure he'll have his head in his hands in the changing room after the game.
So Austria are a goal down, and they are a man short because Dragovic has been sent off. He'll be suspended now for the match against Portugal, and Junazovic could well be injured for the match against Portugal. And quite simply, Austria somehow have got to get their act together.
Listen, I think that was a fantastic call by Turpin, the referee. You know, he could have easily pretended he didn't see that, and all of a sudden it's 1-1. It was a good finish, but the foul had been committed. I think the referee picked up on it nice and early and blew his whistle. I've got to say he's done very well, the referee, today.
So Austria 0, Hungary 1, 66 minutes played in the match in Bordeaux. 5 Live Sports Extra. And the board is cleared away by Alma in the goal for Austria, out to the far side, and here's Harnik. Harnik chips it into the penalty area, headed away as far as Alaba for Austria. Alaba wriggling into the penalty area, plays it wide to the far side. In comes the cross, a shout for handball, nothing given. In comes another cross, dropped by Kirai. He was under pressure, he dropped the ball, but he's been fouled, the goalkeeper. And the Austrians are whistling for a penalty. Arnautovic is looking very frustrated. We can see a replay of the cross that came in. Kadar blocked it with his thigh. So basically they're talking nonsense and shouting for a penalty.
Brilliant atmosphere. It really has got going now. I think the Austrians realise what trouble they're in. Down to 10 men, 1-0 down. They've got to react, and they're having a go. They're pushing themselves forward and getting the ball into the final third. No way was that a penalty. It came off Kadar's hip, who's defended really well for the Hungarians. I've been really impressed with him. It's surprising that he couldn't get in the Newcastle side.
We're just seeing a replay of the goal scored by Adam Solai, and I think he's now going to be replaced by the Hungarian coach, Bernd Stork. The German has decided that Tamas Prishkin should be introduced for Hungary, and Prishkin, once of Watford, comes on.
As we've seen him finishing the ball there, you could see Alma's studs in and around Salai's head. It was a brave finish. He could have really got hurt there, and he got his rewards with the ball in the back of the net.
So Prishkin is on. You'll remember him playing in the Premier League, played for Watford, Swansea, QPR, not all in the Premier League, a few Championship clubs as well.
The mighty QPR, a bit of a legend.
Now with Slovan Bratislava. Ipswich as well, he used to play for. We must remember them, and here is that man, Tamas Prishkin, into the penalty area. Needs some support. It's there from Nemeth down the far left-hand side. Nemeth in possession.
Great feet.
Plays it back to Naj. Nemeth to Naj again, but it's intercepted by Austria. Here's Alaba, and it's a long ball forward from the Austrians, which is rather aimless, and they can't afford to be aimless at the moment, because it's Austria 0, Hungary 1, and Austria have a red card against their name. They're down to 10 men and they're being stretched. Here's Zuzak for Hungary into the penalty area on his left foot. Chance to lay it square. There it goes to Naj. Naj with a shot over the top of the bar. Goal kick for Austria.
His first touch just wasn't right, Naj. I'm very surprised. He's got an absolutely brilliant technique. It just bounces up and away from him a little bit there. Maybe he's getting a little bit fatigued because he's a young boy, but great play. And listen, on the balance of the game, you're looking at it, Austria throwing bodies forward willy-nilly. I can see this going to 2-0.
Well, that was certainly a chance on the break for Hungary, and Hungary have looked the stronger side since about the 50th minute onwards. Austria started okay at the start of the second half. He said the coach, Koller, had probably had a word with Austria, but they haven't capitalised on that strongish start, and now they trail. Austria, who've won their last 9 competitive games. This is game number 10 in their streak, and they'll do very well to win this one from this situation with 20 minutes remaining. They'd snatch your arm off, I think, for a point right now, Trevor.
I'm not sure, mate. I'm not sure. I don't think they've got it in them. I'm looking at the mentality, and at the start of the game, apart from the first couple of minutes, I've just thought that the Hungarians have had a better mentality. You look at the Austrian players, they feel like they're supposed to be winning this, they should be dictating this game.
Here's Nemeth on the edge of the area for Hungary with a shot, which is just wide. It whistles wide.
Save.
Was there a touch from the goalkeeper on that one?
Brilliant save.
I think so. Yeah, just deflected it away. We can get the proper angle on this one. Trevor says brilliant save, and yes, that was heading just inside the far post.
Hawkeye.
A little glance off the gloves. Hawkeye Sinclair, spot on the money there. What a save!
Brilliant save. Fingertip. That was in the stanchion if he doesn't touch it.
And that was good night. Vienna for Austria.
2-0. I mean, it's game over, especially with 10 men and the momentum all with the Hungarians.
Zizek with the corner, headed away. The Austrians were just jogging back there as the Hungarians built. This is where Arnautovic needs to show his mettle and not get lazy as he runs up to the halfway line. He claims that he was fouled and potentially was there.
I'm not so sure.
By Guzmic. Arnautovic is on his knees. He needs to get up. Did you see the way that Hungary were attacking that last move, and the Austrian defenders, 3 of them in a line, were not at full pelt getting back?
It's that sense of urgency. You've got to realise when you need to get back and defend your goal. And again, I think it's down to mentality. I feel quite a few of the Austrian players out there at the moment are feeling sorry for themselves. It's not quite gone their way. Hungary are a little bit better than they thought they were. They're better organised. Now they're 1-0 up and 10 men. Down to 10 men. It's going to get very difficult, and they've got to change the mentality. Keep the ball, start probing away, and see if they can get themselves back in this game, because it's going to be very difficult.
Long diagonal ball by Austria to Christian Fuchs on the near side. In comes a cross, and it's hammered over the top of the bar by the substitute Sabitzer. He was arriving late on the edge of the penalty area and skies it into the crowd.
You've got to praise the defending. Someone flew, I'm not sure what Hungarian player it was that flew at the ball. Yeah, again, Kadar is making himself an absolute nuisance. He's throwing his body on the line, and again, just enough to put the forward player who's striking the ball off, and high and wide it goes.
Gira for Hungary. Hungary leading by a 0-0. They don't want to be loose in midfield. They're a bit fortunate that the ball breaks for Fiola. Fiola making great tracks into the Austrian half to the edge of the penalty area, and the shot from Kleinkleiser is wide of the far post. It dipped and it's gone behind, he thinks, for a corner. The referee says no. That'll be a goal kick as it was struck. Took a double deflection, and in fact it is going to be a corner eventually. The officials got it right. Clear deflection on the replay. Nemeth takes it short. Zizek with a cross towards the far post and headed away for another corner. Baumgartlinger it was at the far post doing the defensive duties for Austria, and the Hungarians are threatening.
The Austrians need a leader right now, because defensively they are all over the gaff. Hungary are attacking at will. They're switching off for the short corner. They're not alert to anything. They need to have a look at themselves and start organising each other. Get back, defend the goal, and then start leading forward.
It'll be Zizek with the in-swinging corner from the near side for Hungary, punched away by Alma.
Great touch.
Lovely touch by Gira, back out to Zizek. In comes the cross, too close to the goalkeeper. No clean sheet for Alma this evening in this match in Bordeaux, because the Austrians are behind against Hungary. The Austrians were being described as the new Belgium prior to the tournament, and maybe in more ways than one.
Absolutely.
People were right. Overhyped a little bit maybe. The ball's on the near side with Prishkin for Hungary with a cross which zips across the 6-yard area. Nobody gets a touch. Nobody was quite in there for Hungary, and it's out for a throw-in for Austria on the far side. But the Austrians have been very, very disappointing since falling behind. There's been that discipline from Dragovic which has resulted in him being sent off. And sometimes you can't tell when a team is a man light, because they regroup, they give that extra 10%, as we always say, when you're down to 10 men. But with Austria, you can tell that they're a man short.
You can tell that
there are gaps all over the place.
But I think, again, you've got to compliment Hungary. I think they've saw the situation. They realised against 10 men now, they're 1-0 up, they've got nothing to lose, and they feel like instead of being defensive, go and get the second goal, and it's really refreshing to see. And I think, if you were looking at this game and you said who was going to score next, I know where my money would be.
Yep. I think mine would be on Hungary as well. They attempted a ball forward there, but it flew straight through to Alma in the Austrian goal, who bowls the ball out. We're into the final 15 minutes Can Austria dig deep and find something from somewhere?
Oh, Nautovic, what is he doing? Naughty boy.
Yeah, what did he do?
Off
Trevor?
the ball there, just as the Hungary player was heading the ball, he gave him a boot in his stomach. Referee missed it again.
Or else they might have been down to 9, do you think? Was it that bad?
I don't think it was a red card, but it certainly was
yellow,
a free kick and possibly a yellow, yeah.
Here comes Nemeth for Hungary, running at the tiring defenders, tries to play an angled ball to Priskin. He gets it wrong though, and Christian Fuchs is able to work it back to his goalkeeper, and Austria clear. Austria needing leaders. They've got one in Christian Fuchs, their captain. He's played Champions League football for Schalke. He's won the Premier League with Leicester City. He's 30 years of age. He needs to grab them by the scruff.
Yeah, I just feel you need it in the spine of the team, and Fuchs obviously being a full-back, he's out the way a little bit. You're looking at the Austrian defence there, they're so static, there's no pressure on the ball when Hungary are on the edge of the box, and they can be getting shots on willy-nilly on the edge of the box. It's just not good enough.
Zizek to Priskin. He was just coming back from an offside position as he controlled the ball on the 18-yard line, and that's a free kick at the back for Austria. Austria 0, Hungary 1. 5 Live Sports Extra. We've played for 77 minutes and we're going to see a substitution in the next couple of moments by the Austrians, and Schopf is coming on. Alessandro Schopf of Schalke. He comes on to replace Martin Harnik, who wears number 18. He's another forward-thinking player. That's what they need. But they've got to keep some kind of shape as well, or else Hungary will punish them.
You don't get less points for losing 1-0, do you, than 2-0?
No.
Might as well go for it.
It's only the potential head-to-head for third place where goal difference could cost you. Of course, Austria, even if they do lose this game and lose to Portugal, they'll have Iceland in their last match, and 3 points more than likely would be enough to take you through to the knockout stages of the expanded Euro 2016. Don't forget, tonight we have Iceland against Portugal for you on 5 Live from Saint-Étienne. Ronaldo involved in the competition, fitness permitting of course. I'm sure he'll be there for Portugal later on. But here are Austria trying to build on the edge of the area. Alaba back to goal, to Fuchs, to Alaba, back to Fuchs again. Fuchs tries to lob it into the penalty area, and it's straight through to goalkeeper Kirai. We should have mentioned the earlier substitution made by Austria. Okoti is on, Pakistan-born player actually, playing as the number 9 now for Austria. Plays for 1860 Munich. So the Austrians have brought on all 3 of their substitutes, and now it's Hungary who are making the next change, and Zoltan Steiber of Nuremberg will be the man coming on for them, and he's replacing Laszlo Kleinheisler, who's put in a very good shift. He's only 22, Kleinheisler, the man who allegedly is a little bit like Paul Scholes in appearance. He's only played or started 1 match all season in the Bundesliga, only his 6th cap, but he was involved in the 1-2, the clever little interchange which led to the Hungarian goal, Trevor.
He was, yeah, and he's played well. You know, he's looked after, marshalled the centre of that park, looked after the ball well, and kept that very disciplined shape that Hungary have had for the whole game. And you know, he'll deserve the points if they can get over the line.
There's been another coming together of players in the centre circle, and the card is coming out here for Nemeth, the Hungarian, who smashed into Schopf, the substitute, who's only freshly onto the pitch.
Welcome to the game.
Yeah, welcome to the Euros. And the referee is standing sentry-like above the player he's about to book. He decides to help Nemeth onto his feet there, very polite refereeing, and then he shows him the yellow card. It was an awful one, really. A bit of half a stamp, half a rake down the shins there from Nemeth.
A little follow-through into the groin as well. I think he stayed down hoping he was going to get away with the yellow card, but fair play to the ref, he gave it him anyway. Well deserved.
It rarely works, that pretending to be injured when you know you're the guilty party. But it does once in a blue moon, which is why players do it, of course. Here's Hinteregger for Austria. Infield to Alaba, a little shuffle from him, but he's lost the ball to Gira. And now it's Hungary with Steiber. Steiber, the substitute. And now the ball is played with the outside of the boot out to the near side for Zizek to chase. Across comes Christian Fuchs. It's captain on captain, and the ball is cleared away. And out for a throw-in for Austria.
It was a great situation there. I think the centre forward was right in the middle of the goal. He was onside. Austria hadn't got their back line nice and compact and straight, and he could have played him in straight away. He went for the right wing, and it was a wrong option.
Fiola with the throw in on the near side for Hungary, level with the penalty area. Zizek forward again to Fiola. He's shoulder to shoulder there with the substitute, and Austria need to clear through Fuchs. Fuchs is closed down by a very athletic Hungarian captain in Zizek, and he blocks it away for a goal kick for Austria. That will do for Hungary. Time is beginning to ebb away. We're approaching the final 8 minutes in this match in Bordeaux on 5 Live Sports Extra. It's Austria 0, Hungary 1.
When you give an underdog a lead 1-0 and there's 10, 15, 20 minutes to go, it's very difficult to get back in the game because everybody finds an extra 10, 15%. Now, if you add that to losing a man as well, very difficult for Austria to get back in this game. You really have to work hard, and they're going to have to force the issue.
It was horrible, ill discipline, wasn't it, by Dragovic to get sent off in that manner.
Look at Arnautovic there. There's absolutely no need for that.
Yeah, we're just seeing a replay of Arnautovic getting involved just after the sending off incidents. A lot of pushing and shoving. That was a replay of what happened about 10-15 minutes or so ago. Arnautovic needs to play his football, but he's lost his concentration quite a bit, as you suspect more than one of these Austrians have. Austria 0, Hungary 1.
It's frustrations for Arnautovic, but listen, if I'm the Portuguese manager or I'm the Iceland manager, I'm telling my players, listen, when we play against Austria, make sure you niggle away at him because he will react.
Arnautovic flings a ball cross-field. It's intercepted though on the slide by Nemeth for Hungary. He pokes it out of play. It will be an Austrian throw on the far side to be taken by Sabitzer, the substitute. One of the 3 substitutions made by Marcel Koller in the second half of this game, which Austria are desperately chasing. Here he is again on the far side. Shot 2 for Austria, and the ball has been played off the Hungarian defender for an Austrian throw. Level with the penalty area into Alaba. Can he spin inside the box? His shot takes a big deflection and loops high over the top of the bar, but Austria do have a set piece. They do have a corner. Another opportunity for Christian Fuchs to bend one in from this near side. The supporters behind the goal for Austria, desperate to see some definitive action in front of them. Fuchs with a high one. Kirai, the old man of the tournament, is off his line to claim the ball and cradle it like he's rescued his puppy from a blaze.
I think
he's got the ball.
I think he might need a back massage after this game. Great take. You know, you say to a goalkeeper on crosses, take it at the highest point. He certainly did that, and safe hands as well to boot. And it's wasted 20-30 seconds there as well with his theatrics. Great play, and that's game management, seeing a game out and getting the 3 points at the end of it.
Oh yes, game management. Have Hungary got what it takes to see it through? It's looking positive for them. 6 minutes remaining. 1-0 Hungary lead against Austria in this battle of Central European teams. Austria, big favourites to win the match and finish runners-up perhaps to Portugal in the group. But a goal down as Fuchs goes two-footed into a tackle. Luckily he won the ball and the referee was happy with that. Can Austria bring the ball away? Alaba to Arnautovic, who spins over the halfway line, plays it forward towards the substitute Okiti, but cleared away. Okiti came on for Janko a lot earlier. Here's Fuchs keeping the ball in play on the near side for Austria. The ball is becoming a bit of a hot potato, and one or two tempers are flaring. There's been another little coming together. A few words are exchanged between Naj of Hungary and Sabitzer for Austria. The referee is laying down the law. I'd like to see a little replay of that. Naj came in and clattered his man. Meantime, there is a Hungarian player down injured right down the other end of the pitch, just outside the Austrian penalty area. Not sure who it is. It's the Priskin position, but I think it was the man on the receiving end of the two-footed effort from Fuchs.
Dear.
I called it at the time. Fuchs in two-footed, and Attila Fiola is the man down, and that was a horrible bending of the ankle. It just buckled away underneath the weight of the challenge from Fuchs, and he is requiring attention, and he looks up to the medical staff around him in quite a bit of pain. And that's the second rather unpleasant replay we've seen of that kind of thing in this match. And Fiola, who's had an excellent game at full-back for Hungary, was the victim of a challenge. Well, it was two-footed from Fuchs.
Yeah, I don't think there was
He was
any...
rooted in the ground. His studs were in the ground as he made the tackle.
I just think it's one of them impact challenges. He's moving at some severe pace, and his studs have just stuck in the ground. And there's only one thing that's going to happen there. I can't see him playing any part in this game, and to be quite truthful, I'd be surprised if he makes any of the other games in this group. I don't think there was any intent though from Fuchs. It's just one of them unfortunate situations. It's a man's game, it's a contact sport, and sometimes things like that happen. We don't need to see it again though.
We're going to see another Ferencváros player coming on then for Hungary. Adam Pinter will be replacing Fiola. Austria continue with the game, but they've lost possession. And here's Priskin with a lovely ball forward here for Hungary. Here's an opportunity to take on the goalkeeper one-on-one, and the ball is chipped into the net quite magnificently by Zoltán Steiber, and Hungary lead Austria by 2-0. Magnificent finish by the substitute. Austria cut asunder, down to 10 men, and down and out in this match. It's an upset, all right. It's Hungary 2, the fancied Austrians 0.
Mentality. You look at the way the Austrians are going forward willy-nilly, no appreciation for who's back behind, and they've got what they deserved, and I saw this coming.
Yes, it's now 2-0 to Hungary as listeners on 5 Live join us. Austria down to 10 men after Dragovic was sent off. They've lost all of their composure, and all of a sudden they were caught out on the break, and the Hungarian substitute Zoltán Steiber was able to run into the penalty area and show excellent composure to chip the ball over the advancing Austrian goalkeeper Robert Eimer. So it looks as though we're having a major upset in this match. The Austrians much fancy to go a reasonable distance in Euro 2016, but Hungary lead them by 2-0. We have only 2 minutes remaining. Austria ill-disciplined. They lost Dragovic to 2 yellow cards, and Hungary have taken full advantage to lead 2-0. Trevor Sinclair.
Fresh legs, what composure. You know, you see so many players in that situation, eyes wide open, and sky it or miss the target or rush or panic. That was one of the coolest finishes I have seen for a long time. Absolutely superb execution, and what a skill set to be able to do that at full pace, slow it all down, visualise it, execute it. 2-0, game over.
Well, on comes Pinter eventually in place of Nemeth for Hungary, and it's 2-0 then to the team coached by Bernd Stork, the German. It's been 30 years since Hungary were last involved in a major competition finals. 1986 they were in the World Cup in Mexico. It's been a long wait just to qualify for something, and now they're enjoying it. The goals from Solai and Steiber have made it Austria 0, Hungary 2. We're into the last minute. There's no way back for Austria. They have a suspension to face, they have injuries to face, and they have defeat to face as they go into their second match on Saturday against Portugal. Can they recover? Iceland might be licking their lips a little bit, thinking they might have a chance as well in a shootout behind Portugal.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this has been a pretty poor performance for me. They started very well, but as soon as Hungary started missing lines out and going long, they didn't know how to deal with it, the Austrians. And you know, I think they've been well worthy winners for this game, Hungary, and you know, again, it could go even further.
Fuchs heads the ball out of play for a dispirited Austrian team. It's going to be a throw-in on the halfway line for Hungary.
They get so much
5 minutes added on.
They get so much confidence from this performance, the Hungarians. You know, you look at performances throughout the side. I think Nagy has done superbly well. Gira, we know about Gira. He's really marshalled that midfield area very well. And again, at the back, Kadar, he's been the best defender on the pitch for me. Absolutely superb. Thrown himself in front of everything, blocks every shot, and yeah, they've deserved this very, very much so.
You know, you said that Fiola was not going to play any further part possibly in the group. Do you know what? He's stayed on. He's still out there. Wow. Number 5, the fullback for Hungary.
Wow.
Long range shot comes in for Austria from outside of the penalty area. Shot is well off target. I was saying that Fiola was going to go off and the substitute Pinter was going to come on, and then Pinter came on for Nemeth, and I thought, where's Fiola? And he's still out there playing.
All I've got to say, he's got a higher pain threshold than me. He must be hard as nails. I would be surprised, I've got to say, if he's able to walk tomorrow, because or else he's got unbelievably flexible ankle ligaments, because that really did look nasty to me. But fair play, you know, he's been able to stay on the field of play. I think maybe a little bit, you look at the play, the situation, they've just scored, the adrenaline's going.
I was going to say,
once that adrenaline's gone, there might be a bit of pain.
The old natural painkillers are kicking in at the moment, I think, for Fiola. That will hurt in the morning, I think that's the phrase. 2-0 to Hungary. It's been dismal in the second half for Austria. They almost took the lead in the first minute, of course, when Alaba hit the post. And they had another good chance saved by Kirai in the first half, but Hungary were very much in the game in the first 45 minutes, and they've taken it by storm in the second half. They lead by 2-0. It would be equally the most decisive result so far in Euro 2016. 5 minutes added on, as I say. We've had 2 of those minutes already. The two managers both suited and booted, and one much happier than the other.
Be great for Kirai if he can get a clean sheet on the day and the date that he breaks the record for the oldest player to play in the Euros.
They're 40 years old and 75 days with the tracksuit bottoms, which are nearly as old. And he has been a mainstay, certainly, for the Magyars of Hungary in this match. They have to defend over a free kick for Austria, which has been awarded just to the right of the penalty area, 2 strides from the angle of the box, and David Alaba is going to take it for Austria, trailing 2-0. Surely it would be but a consolation were they to score. Arnautovic from the edge of the area, straight into the gloves of Kirai. He deserves it, straight at him.
He read that like a beano. He seen what was coming. It was a good effort, I think, great one from the manager's point of view from the training pitch, but he read that like a beano, and comfortable save.
You read it like a beano, is that what you said?
That's what I said.
You like the line so much you said it twice. And why not? I'll just store that for later on in the competition when you're not listening. Arnautovic with the shot then, straight at Kirai, clutches it to his green jersey, and it's 2-0 to Hungary, and we're into the last 90 seconds of stoppage time, and the Hungarians themselves were not too expectant coming into the competition. The line that they were putting out there, or at least the spin from Hungary, was that we're just pleased to be taking part after all of these years, but they've meant business in this game.
I think individual talent, they're not overly gifted, but the way they've performed as a team, they're certainly greater than the sum of their parts. You know, they've really put themselves about. They've been a family. You can see it's like brothers together, and they've worked the socks off for each other.
Almost a chance for Austria, but they've overplayed the pass, and there is Kirai. He's not going to be beaten. His laundry bill will be huge, but he's not too bothered.
He needs to get some stain remover, I'm telling you.
The ball is intercepted by Austria on the halfway line and all the way back to their goalkeeper. Ooh. Alma, he's managed to prevent a corner, but he's given the ball straight to Priskin, who's cutting in from the right-hand side. Austria do have defenders back, though.
Keep it in the corner.
Here's Gira.
There you go.
Back to Priskin. They're doing what Trevor says. Priskin back to Gira again. Priskin allays again from the Hungarian fans. They did that at one stage in the first half when it was 0-0. Arnautovic has got it now for Austria, though, on the near touchline, prods it in field to Alaba, the Bayern Munich man, who really hasn't stamped his name on this game. Forward, the pass goes to Okiti. Okiti down the near side now for Austria, taking on the defender. Chips it towards the far post, should be cleared away, commandingly away there at the back by the Hungarians. It was Adam Lang with a header, and that's the last action of the game. Hugs all round. Hungarian hugs on the touchline, because they have beaten Austria by 2-0, and not many people saw this result coming. It could well be blasting Group F wide open right at the start of the tournament. It's Portugal against Iceland later, but the first 3 points go on the board for Hungary, and you have to say, Trevor Sinclair, deservedly so.
Fully deserved. I think the game plan was better. They executed it so well. They were so fluid as well. You know, you see one player go out of position and get caught out. They filled in for each other all over the pitch really well. And again, it's one of them. The underdogs are winning. And, you know, I think they fully deserved it. You look at the frustration there with Arnautovic. We've seen him play better than that, but you have to give credit to the Hungarians. They worked their socks off. And even when Austria went down to 10 men, Hungary seemed to work even harder, 10% harder, and they deserved that 2-0 win. And great for the goalkeeper. Oldest man at the tournament, keeps a clean sheet.
Yeah, absolutely. The camera has been fixated by Arnautovic for a few moments. He really does look downcast. He slapped himself on the head a few moments ago. He can't believe what's happened to Austria. You said the Hungarians are more of a team rather than possessing the best of individuals, but that ethic can get you a long way in the Euros. I mean, Greece is always the example of that, which we stick up at the top of the podium after they won the championships in Lisbon in 2004.
Absolutely. And again, I mean, I go back to this all the time. Round pegs in square holes. Alaba plays on the left-hand side. That's where he plays for his domestic club, Bayern Munich. Why is he playing centre midfield? He looked after the ball well, and he didn't have a terrible game by any stretch of the imagination. But he's playing out of position. So players that play in an unusual position, it's always going to be a split second before they realise where they're supposed to be on the field of play. If you're playing central midfield week in, week out, you do that automatically. That is second nature. And again, a manager plays a player out of position, and you know, they just didn't have that fluidity that the Hungarians had, and you know, they fully deserved it. And look at them, they deserve this celebration as well.
Yeah, holding hands, they race towards their own supporters. The Hungarian fans are there to embrace the moment. Wild celebrations. Arnautovic is still standing on the pitch, staring in disbelief. Well, thanks very much for your company again this afternoon, Trevor, here on 5 Live Sports Extra. The baton will now hand over to Portugal and Iceland. Coverage of that starts at 7 over on 5 Live. That's about 5 minutes from now, and then the kick-off in St Etienne at 8 o'clock. But here this afternoon, in this match in Bordeaux, we've seen Hungary upset Austria, winning the match by 2-0. Austria finishing with 10 men, and Hungary thoroughly deserving the victory with the goals in the second half. Full time, Austria 0, Hungary 2.